Hey, and welcome to the live show. I'm glad that you're with me this week, and we do have people already getting on board, so that's great. If you want to get your comments in, you're more than welcome to do so. I was in Arizona, just outside of Phoenix this week for the new Ram. There it is, the new Ram 1500. Here's an interesting thing about Ram. So FCA is the parent company, Fiat Chrysler Automobiles. In Canada, the Ram brand represents 40% of all of their sales. 40%. And most of it on the shoulders of this 1500. Now they have the heavy duty trucks and some other work vehicles like the ProMaster series, but the 1500 is so important. So this launch was really something else. We were just outside of Arizona in the desert. The video will be airing this Friday here on YouTube. They have what's called an embargo, which means that you are not allowed to talk about driving dynamics of the vehicle until a certain date. And the reason why they do that, and the reason why I won't publish a video till Friday, is there are what we call waves in the auto industry. So we were on the Canadian wave. There were some Americans there, but mostly all Canadians. And more and more waves will be going through day after day after day. So you have to let everybody have a chance to drive the vehicle before you can actually put your impressions. So that'll be coming this Friday. What else is going on? Next week, I'm heading away to California for spring break. Looking forward to getting away for a week. The Vancouver International Auto Show is coming up later this month. The 28th, I believe, is the day it starts. That's when we have the press day and then open to the public. So that'll be great if you're going to be in Vancouver or you live in the greater Vancouver area. Vancouver International Auto Show is taking part, and I'm going to be doing, when you walk in there, you'll see my big face on the screen there. I'm going to be recording those tomorrow. What else is going on? Oh yeah, I want to let you know about what we're doing now on my website, which is motormouth.ca. And all of the stuff you see along the bottom here, all along here, you know, Instagram, Facebook, my website, and Twitter. Please sign up for those. I do send out stuff online so you can follow along. That would be great. But I have a new thing that I'm starting. It's a Zack's Picks. If you go on my website, motormouth.ca, you'll see Zack's Picks, and I'm going to be doing videos and showing them here on the live show. And what you'll see in there are some sort of hand-picked cars by myself and my partner Cornelius. We are picking cars that might be of interest for you to buy. So here's a 2014 Cayman, last of this flat six-cylinder Caymans, and you can go and have a look at the different cars. This is the only one I have on there just now, but I'm going to be adding more this week. So that's a beautiful 17,000 kilometers on this Cayman. Black manual transmission. It's never been in an accident. Really nice looking car. I had it out for a spin last week, and it does everything that you would expect from a Porsche. So really nice on the inside. So if you're interested in it, you can read all the information, and then you can go down, fill out your name, your email, and your phone number, send it in, and I'll give you more information. So those are Zack's Picks that are going to be populating the website, motormouth.ca. So the other thing I want to let you know is SoundCloud. Once again, if you go to SoundCloud and you search for Motormouth Canada, you can find the audio version of this. So the Q&A that we do here on YouTube, the audio portion will be available on SoundCloud. All right, let's get into the questions here and see what's going on. There was some really good response for Max Landy, the new reviewer that came on board here to the channel. Max has done a great job in his first video. I'm going to be working with him, sort of fine-tuning his voice. He's got a great English accent, as we heard in the first video. So yeah, he's going to be finding his own voice here. Mike Gers got some new videos coming as well. So let's get into the questions here. Favorite car in Geneva? I didn't go to Geneva, but I did follow along. I think the fact that the Supra, they didn't show the production Supra. They showed a race car version of the Supra. The fact that the Supra is coming, kind of all know it is coming, but you get to see what it looks like. They had a concept car in Detroit a year or 2 years ago, and that I think is probably going to be the closest thing we can see to the Supra. So that's pretty exciting. Ryan says hi back. Gordon Freeman says, hey Zach, my friend got a 2-year-old Honda Fit. Is it a good choice for reliability? Yes, it's a very good vehicle. Interesting thing is the Honda Fit is the vehicle in its class that has the best retained value. So if you're looking for a vehicle that is going to deliver the goods, it's a little bit more expensive than most other cars in the subcompact set, but it holds its value the best. So when you go to sell it or trade it in, you're going to get more of that money back. Excuse me. D. Tasca says, hey Zach, I'm interested in a BMW X1 or a Volvo XC40. So there's the XC40. No, I've got it wrong. That's the E-Pace. That's the Jaguar. Forget about that. The XC40, yeah, I haven't driven it yet. So that's the smaller version of the XC60 and the XC90. So take that back. So I haven't driven the XC40, but based on the other two products expected to be excellent, the X1 I have driven. So I encourage you to go onto the channel and do a search for X1. You will see it there. The X1 is a shared platform with the Countryman from Mini, and it has a transverse mounted, meaning the engine runs side to side instead of longitudinally, the way BMWs typically have. Doesn't mean it's not a great product, because Mini and BMW both share something in common, and that is above average handling vehicles. So if your dealer has the XC40 now and you have the opportunity to drive it and the X1, I encourage you to do that and see which one fits your needs the best. Sorry, I haven't driven the XC40 yet. Why didn't you go to Geneva? Well, I typically go to a lot of international auto shows throughout the year. Since some I take a break, it's basically you're invited by an auto manufacturer to go. And last year I was at the Geneva Auto Show, and this year not the case. And part of the reason is that these auto manufacturers, when they take journalists like myself to these big shows, they have to spread the love around. If I get invited every single time. So yeah, it's good for other journalists to get a chance. Geneva is a great show. It's not my favorite city, I'll tell you that, but it's a good show. It's very different from Paris and Frankfurt and some of the other international shows. It's more of a sort of a specialty tuner show. They typically have some good stuff there, but yeah, the next big one is Beijing coming up in April, and then we get into it in the fall with the Paris Auto Show, and hopefully going to the Paris show. That's my favorite show. You know why? Because it's in Paris. Taylor Earl says, what are your thoughts on the Infiniti Q50's steer-by-wire system and the Q50 in general? Love your videos, by the way. Appreciate that. Now, a lot of people crapped all over the Q50's drive-by-wire system. I was one of the outliers. You can go back and watch my initial review of the Q50 from years ago, and I actually thought it was great. And a lot of people just didn't like it, and I disagree. I think it's fine. So what I encourage you to do is to go and try it for yourself. I think it's fine. There's no issue with me. I don't see what the big fuss is about. And Infiniti does actually score quite well when it comes to dependability from JD Power and Associates. Hey Zach, should I buy a new SQ5 or Q5 or used models? Well, the new one is much better than the previous version. The Q5, up until this new one came out about a year ago, was the oldest product in the Audi lineup, and it really was dated on the inside. And when you now move to the new platform that they share with the A4, the A5, the Q7, and on and on and on, it is so much better in every single way when it comes to handling. The interior fit and finish is fantastic. If you can afford the SQ5, give it a shot. But the regular Q5 with 252 horsepower isn't a bad option. It depends what you use it for. If you're just driving around the city doing everyday sort of mundane bumper-to-bumper traffic, might just be all you need. The SQ5 is wonderful. So it's a turbocharged engine now. The previous one was a supercharged SQ5, but I think that the new one is the one to get. What do you think about the new Lexus UX and its all-wheel drive based on electric motors? Well, Toyota's been doing this with electric motors with the Highlander for years. Now, I don't know all the specifics about the UX. They did show a concept at the Detroit show, and then they showed what they're going to be bringing out, which is the UX. Electric motors for all-wheel drive systems have been used now for several years. And one way that they do it, especially with hybrids, and we saw this with the NSX, is using electric motors to drive one set of wheels and the gasoline engine to drive another set of wheels. So, as they say, the proof is when you get to drive it. So I'm going to hold off any kind of definitive answer on that. All right, sorry, it's moving around on me a bit. Some of you guys are asking questions about all of the new cars that just came out in Geneva. So I'm not going to really comment too much on them because I like to find out more about them and to actually get a chance to drive them before I'm going to give you guys any definitive answer. Mike C says, are Zack's picks local Vancouver cars only? So I'm based in Vancouver. I'm going to go back here and show you again the what we're doing is having Zack's picks on the website. So you're going to be able to go in there and click on cars that I've picked with my partner Cornelius. He's the dealer, by the way. I don't have a dealer's license, so I'm not selling the cars. He sells the cars, and we pick them together to show you. So this is a Porsche Cayman. So that's what we're talking about. Yes, so I'm based in Vancouver, so these will be local cars for the most part. And if you are somebody that's in Vancouver, or if you're somebody that's in a market for a car and you want a car that's being gently used with really not much damage to it, I have said this over and over. I truly believe that Vancouver is the best premium used market in North America. If you want to buy a premium used car, Vancouver is the best place, because the reality is, if you've never been here before, there is really not that far to drive. We have the border to the south, we have the ocean to the west, to the northwest we have Whistler, and to the east we have the Fraser Valley. And that's really the concentrated area where you get to drive. And there are so many families in Vancouver that have not only one or two, maybe even 3 and 4 high-end premium cars. They get very few miles on them, and they really don't have any salt here to speak of. We don't get very harsh winters, and the cars are really lightly used with low kilometers. So that's one of the things. Now, you're asking the question, they're only in Vancouver. If you're really interested in a car, it can be shipped to you across the country. It really doesn't take that long, and it doesn't cost that much. About anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 to have a car shipped across the country. But if you're looking at one car that's being driven through, say, a Toronto or Montreal winter, and one that's being in Vancouver, driving in really no winter conditions, I know which one I would pick. And I say that to people all the time. If you're looking for a nice used car, look out west. The cars are definitely going to be easier driven, that's for sure. Gabrielle says, hey Zach, thumbs up from Brazil, thumbs right back at you. Jean-Philippe says, have you heard about the new 508? What are your thoughts? What about Peugeot DS? I don't think that they're going to come back to North America. He's wondering about coming back to North America. The number one problem you have with starting a new brand or reviving a brand is the dealer network. And look at what happened with Fiat. FCA brought Fiat out, and you know, they're fun little cars, but everybody that wanted to drive a Fiat 500 got one, and now the sales are really, really low. I'm not sure what they're going to do there. Excuse me. Same thing for Alfa. Now, Alfa has a different product. They're definitely producing cars that have greater content and greater drivability than many of their German and Asian and North American counterparts at a price that's very reasonable and I think really quite competitive. Now, Alfa dealers, I haven't seen a ton of them out there, but they're more, but I don't think we're going to see many European brands that are not already represented coming back to North America. Your thoughts on the 2018 Canadian Car of the Year results? Mazda CX-5 9 won their class. Can't remember if Mazda 3 won its class or not. Now, somebody was going to ask me this, so I'm going to have a look at this. Yes, the CX-5 won Best Small Utility Vehicle. Best Large Utility Vehicle was the Mazda CX-9. And Best Small Car in Canada was the Mazda 3. So there you go. And you can find them all on the AJAC website, ajac.ca. Roy Park says, do you think the 2018 Tiguan is really sluggish? I don't really, once it's away from the line. What I found with this, and others that I've spoken to found the same thing. I didn't touch on it too much when I reviewed the car because I didn't know if it was just this one car. But more of the reviewers that I spoke to encountered the same thing. That initial first gear is really just to get the wheels going, and then it switches to second gear really quickly. And that little pause between first and second gear makes it feel like the vehicle is stumbling a little bit. So you put your foot on the gas, it starts to go away, and then it stumbles into second gear. Now this is software programming that I'm hoping that Volkswagen can change. When you're driving at speed, it's fine because it's got over 200 pound-feet of torque. I would love if they took the 4-cylinder that's in the Atlas, or available in the Atlas, as a base engine. It's basically the GTI engine, to put it in to the Tiguan. But that's for you to decide. What are you using it for? Do you have 5 people and the dog and full of luggage, and you're driving on the 401 or the Don Valley Parkway or here in the Lower Mainland, and you need to pass all the time? Well, maybe it feels sluggish, but for just commuting, bumper to bumper traffic, for many people it would be just fine. Jay Burgess says, hey Zach, would you wait for the new 911 or buy the current 911? Well, what's going to happen is, like, what happens with the 911 is all of the best stuff is backloaded to the end. So GT3, GT3 RS, the 911T, the lightweight version, the GTS cars are all available now in the marketplace just before they announce the new car. So what's going to happen with the new car? It's going to be out with the Carrera and the Carrera S and the four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive versions of those cars. And then they'll add in the Turbo S, and then they'll start the cadence again, where they start to, you know, layer on all of the high-performance cars as the years go by. We saw that with the car that came out, the 991, when it came out. It was the C2, C2S, the Turbo, then they brought out the Targa, then they brought out, you know, all of the different iterations. So it really comes down to what you want. If you're looking for just a sort of a base model car, here's what you can do, is you can wait to find out when the car is released and what the specifics are going to be on it, and then decide then, because there will still be cars in market, and you can decide at that point. Or wait until the new car comes, you can drive it, and there will still be some maybe demos or used cars available. I don't know. You know, I remember talking to Hurley Haywood, the famous driver, and Hurley said, you know, people ask him, what's your favorite 911? And Hurley's answer was always the next one. And you know, Porsche doesn't make crappy cars, and every 911 they bring out, except for the 996, is better than the car it replaced. And even that was more, had better power, had better handling. It just wasn't a car that people loved. Can you review the Hyundai Kona? Yes, when I get a chance to. There actually is a ride and drive event for the Kona here on the West Coast, over to Tofino on the west coast of Vancouver Island. I'm going to be away on spring break with my family. So Brian Chow is going from Everyday Review. So maybe I'll get him, if he can do a video for the channel, I'll get him to do it. So I haven't had a chance to drive it, but there is a ride and drive program coming up soon. Hey Zach, what's your best pick for a premium 3-row crossover? It depends on your threshold for pay and what you're willing to pay for it. I think still probably the best choice is still the MDX. The Q7 would be in there as well, but it's a more expensive vehicle. So I think until we get our hands on the new RX that has the 3 rows of seats, the MDX I think is still the best one. Now, the MDX has a 9-speed automatic transmission, just like the top Touring does in the Pilot side. So I'm not a fan of that transmission. So if you're okay with driving a Pilot, I would consider the 6-speed Pilot. But if you're set on a premium vehicle, then the MDX is going to be hard to beat. Sam Burgess, hey Zach, huge fan. I've seen every video since 2011. Wow. Yeah, that's something. That's when I first started the channel. Will you be reviewing the Raptor anytime soon? I don't know about the Raptor. I can tell you though that I might be going to the Ford diesel launch. Yeah, the Ford F-150, just like the Ram. The Ram is not going to be offered with the EcoDiesel this year when it comes to dealerships in the next few weeks, but it will be coming for the next model year as a diesel. Chevrolet has announced, along with GMC, that they have diesels coming for their 1,500 trucks, and I'm going to hopefully get a chance to drive the new diesel in the F-150. The Raptor, the problem is there one here on the West Coast for me to drive? But yeah, I'll see what I can do. Any news on Toyota with respect to smaller off-road SUV? any news about the new RAV4 Subaru Forester? Well, Toyota keeps showing this concept vehicle, which is really quite rugged and beachy and California fun with the big tires and looks kind of Jeepish. They keep showing this concept vehicle, so maybe, just maybe, they'll actually make a production version of it, which could be kind of fun. So Toyota with respect to a smaller off-road SUV, that might be it. I'm not sure. Subaru Forester, we're thinking the updated version is going to be shown at the New York Auto Show. That's at the end of this month. March 28th is press day. I know that day for a fact because that's my son's birthday, and the reason that I'm here in Vancouver for the Vancouver press day on the same day, March 28th, is because it's his birthday, so I'm going to be home for that. He's turning 13. I won't be in New York for that, but the Forester is going to be shown, the updated Forester, which is a facelift. It's not a brand new vehicle. The other thing I think, and no confirmation on this, is that they might do the RAV4 in New York as well. We'll have to wait and see on that. And there is some rumor swirling around that there could be a full plug-in version of the RAV4. You have to remember that Toyota made the RAV4 electric vehicle, and could they revisit that again? We'll have to wait and see. But those two vehicles are slated to be coming this year. And one of the reasons that I think the RAV4 is going to happen this year is because they're going to put production into Canada and move Corolla production down to Mexico. So those that aren't aware, Cambridge, Ontario is where they make they make the Corolla now. They make the Lexus RX, and down the highway in Woodstock, they make the RAV4. There is rumor that the RAV4 electric might be going into that Cambridge plant. We'll have to wait and see. Hey Zach, why are you giving up your A7 TDI? There it is right there. And it's going to be on Zack's picks soon too. That car is for sale. It's only got 27,000 kilometers on it. It's got the 20-inch S-Line package, Havana black interior with the silver accents. And there is a video on my YouTube channel. So this car is going to be sold, and I'm getting another diesel. Stay tuned. And actually this week I might get it. So I will tell you about it next week. I'm going to do one more live chat before I go away in spring break. That'll be next Sunday. Okay, Ernest Lee says, any thoughts on the new Ram 1500? Now, if you missed the very beginning of the show, I did mention that they do have what's called an embargo. Okay, that means that if you go to one of these if you go to one of these events for the Ram 1500, for example, they don't let you sort of give your opinion on the driving until later. So the embargo date for that vehicle is this Friday. So that's when my video will be coming out. What I can tell you is that it's got the 3.6 liter Pentastar, it's got the Hemi, and it has what's called e-torque. And one of the things that I was interested with, now the literature about this when it was shown at the Detroit show, it says it has up to 130 pound-feet of torque, of launch torque with the Hemi. And it gives you the impression that it adds 130 pound-feet of torque in combination with that Hemi engine. That isn't the case at all. What it actually does is the alternator is replaced with a motor generator, and then that gives, for the first little half second when you press on the throttle, that electric torque to get the vehicle moving, that first sort of step. And then the Hemi will kick in, or the Pentastar. So it was a little bit misleading, but it is what it is. All done to create greater fuel economy. And FCA claims that this new Ram is going to be 10% more fuel efficient, even though it's bigger than the previous model. It is beautiful inside, I can tell you that. The interior of this new Ram is absolutely gorgeous and rivals many premium cars, to be honest with you. So watch for the video by the end of the week. Computer User 1 says, hey, Zach, love the show. Thank you for these. I really enjoy them. I really appreciate that. Hey, if you have any comments about things that you're wanting to see or reviewed or whatever, always put them in here, because when I'm done the live chat, I go back and I read every single one of these. So please feel free to do that. Roy Park, who's a regular here. Thanks, Roy, for being on board again. Do you also find Subaru's infotainment system is not responsive enough? I was at the Canadian Auto Show and disappointed by Forester and also its cheap feeling interior. Okay, So the Forester has been out now for a few years. And as I mentioned moments ago, the New York Auto Show later this month is when they're going to show the updated Forester. So one of the things you can bet is that it's going to get an updated interior head unit. Now, if you look at the new vehicles that have come from Subaru, like the Crosstrek came last year, that it does, and the new Ascent is coming later this year, this summer, spring and summer, they have gone to the new infotainment screens. And I'm with you. The infotainment systems from Subaru in the past have not been great. They have been a bit laggy, not the best graphics, not easy to pair your phone, all of that kind of stuff. The new ones are much, much better. So if you want to see what it's going to look like, just go and look in the Crosstrek at the sort of top end head unit that's available in there. That's what will be coming to the Forester. And Subaru knows that their interiors are not the flashiest, but they are improving that as well. The Crosstrek is another example of that. They're more utilitarian than they are premium, but I expect all of that to be addressed. Maybe not to your satisfaction, but to be addressed when it comes out at the end of the month. Parth says, are new Hyundais reliable? It's interesting. I just posted on the Motormouth Canada Facebook. So once again, all across the bottom of the screen, you have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those things. Follow along. And I just posted on there the 10 most reliable brands, dependability from JD Power and Associates. So that's cars after 3 years. So Hyundai and Kia are in the top 10. Number 1 is Lexus, Porsche's number 2, but Kia and Hyundai are in the top 5, and they're making some very good vehicles. The one thing I will tell you about both Hyundai and Kia, as companies, they are relentless. Here's the thing. Here's my theory about it. I really truly believe that the Koreans have had an inferiority complex about the Japanese for decades. And they have a sole mission to outdo Japanese brands, whether it's, electronics. You see it with television. Samsung has taken over flat screen TVs. It used to be Toshiba and Sony. Samsung way ahead of the game. You look at home appliances, you have LG and Samsung. I'm not saying that they were Japanese brands, but they have sort of dominated that. You see it with cell phones. Samsung is the biggest player in the world, way ahead of Apple when it comes to penetration in the marketplace. And on the car front, I think they are not going to rest until they have better products than the Japanese. I think it's a sole goal of theirs. You look at Genesis as their premium brand. If you go to an auto show, whether it's the one that just passed in Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, or Edmonton, the last ones of the year, go and sit in a Genesis. You will be shocked by how good the fit and finish is in those cars. And even get in a base model Kia. The fit and finish, the way the switches are all just perfect. The way the radios fit in the dash, everything on the inside of those cars is as good as it gets in the industry, and they are not going to rest until they are better than the Japanese. That's my personal belief. I think that's what their absolute goal is. If you know anything about the history of Japan and Korea, that is, I think, their goal. Okay, off my hobby horse. Not my hobby horse, my soapbox. Let me just get back to where I was. Here we go. Okay. Hey, from Campbell River. Nice to have you here. Why diesel vehicle aren't popular in Canada? Should I consider a diesel such as BMW X5D or Mercedes GLE BlueTech? Well, if you're looking for a GLE BlueTech, you have to buy a used one. Mercedes stopped selling BlueTech vehicles when the whole Dieselgate thing came about with Volkswagen Group, including Audi, including Porsche, and of course Volkswagen, stopped selling diesels. So the last ones in the premium space are Land Rover and BMW. In the non-premium space, you're going to have Mazda with the CX-5, if it's ever going to come. You have General Motors with the Traverse and the Terrain with diesel, and it's not a bad little unit. What else was announced? Hyundai Santa Fe is going to be coming with diesel. We have diesels now, more and more diesels coming in trucks. Never was as popular as Europe, but much more popular in Canada to have diesel vehicles than ever was in the United States. For vehicles that were available with diesel and not, before Mercedes fell into this problem with Volkswagen and decided not to bring diesels, in some vehicles the penetration was 80%. So the GLE before they stopped selling the diesel, 80% of them were diesels. So there are some used ones out there. The BMW X5 and the GLE, both are great choices. If you're also looking for those, look for a Cayman diesel as well. Not as many out there, or a Touareg TDI. Regarding my previous Audi SQ5 or Q5 question, I have a steady commute for more than 25 minutes, highway miles, and would like to keep the car as long as humanly possible. Well, I think it comes down to, Ryan, he was asking which one should I pick, the SQ5 or the Q5. I think you need to go and drive them. And here's one thing. A lot of people make a mistake. When they go to test drive a car, they drive it within 5 minutes of the dealership. You need to drive it in the situation that you use the car for. Okay, so Ryan says he's got a 25 commute, mostly on the highway. You need to say to the guy who's taking you out for the test drive, we're going on the highway and we're going to drive for 25, 30 minutes. Your test drive should not be 5 minutes around the block, at least an hour. And for premium brands, they often will let you have the car overnight. So take advantage of that. Say, how can I have this car for a while, an hour or two? You signed it out, you take it away. So you need to try it in its conditions. If you live in a rural area, don't go to a city dealership and drive a car in the city. Take the vehicle out on country roads. If you're in bumper-to-bumper, stop-and-go city traffic every day, that's when you need to drive a car. So those are the things I think you should do. It's really up to you now to decide which one you like better. Corey Green says, do you think the 2019 Ram 1500 has the highest quality interior of the pickup truck segment? Yes. I don't think it's even close. For me, it's Ram. Next, it would be the General Motors trucks, and then a third would be Ford, and way behind those is Toyota with the Tundra. Ford has some, like they have their Platinum Series vehicles, but their interiors are really filled with a lot of plastic and cheap, shiny. I don't really like the Ford interior at all, in my opinion. The Ram interior, it's beautiful. Now has the big 12-inch screen. It's something to see. And you would expect this in, as I mentioned, a premium car. So wait for the video. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you see it. Richard D says, love the new Tiguan and the review you gave it, but started to read up on the Dieselgate and the Monkeygate scandal on Volkswagen. Wanted to hear your thoughts and your overall take on this. Well, Dieselgate, where do I even begin? They were doing bad stuff. They were lying. They were scamming and cheating the system. And the monkey thing is terrible. I mean, listen, but here's the thing. Do we know that this doesn't go on regularly? Like, is this something that other brands have done and they've just been outed with it? I don't know if this is something that's commonly done. I would hope it's not, but I really don't know. Volkswagen has certainly taken its lumps, has certainly paid. They're continuing to pay. My TDI, I'm going to get a check from them because I have one. People are getting vehicles bought back. So they have taken it, and the PR front, I don't even think you could add up the amount of negative PR that they've received around the world over the last 2+ years. So yes, they've taken their lumps, they've paid through the nose, and other brands have been caught with vehicles not meeting compliance. For example, FCA with the Ram Eco Diesel, they were found to not be in compliance. That was front page for one day. Have you heard anything about FCA in the last year? No, they're not selling Eco Diesel Rams and Eco Diesel Jeep Grand Cherokees, but that's not front page. But anything Volkswagen does is. So I think the big thing is that Volkswagen made a monumental mistake when they branded their TDIs as clean diesel. That was a big mistake, and they couldn't back up with the engineering. What they decided to do was to cheap out on the engineering. They actually could bring vehicles to market that were in compliance. They decided to cheap out and keep that money for themselves. So they got caught. They have paid royally. I mean, a major knock against this brand. Volkswagen and Dieselgate is going to be synonymous for decades. It is going to take decades to get over this. But here's the thing. Sales have rebounded in a big way in Canada, rebounded around the world. Volkswagen is going to have record sales across many parts of the world because they have so many good new products. And here's the thing, I'm driving the Volkswagen Golf this week. It's still a great car. So I don't know if that's a real answer or I'm just sort of blathering on about it. But yeah, Volkswagen has paid severely with their reputation. MR Deep Singh question, will the CLA GLA get a new interior for 2019? The CLA and GLA will be coming with new product. I think it's going to be at the Paris show this year. Yes, so CLA, I saw the concept a year ago in Shanghai at the Shanghai Auto Show. So look for that. Jake Mark says, do they ship to St. John's, Newfoundland? That was a question, I'm guessing, about one of Zack's picks. Yes, I mean, a vehicle can be shipped anywhere across the country. Of course, St. John's, Newfoundland is going to be more expensive than, say, Alberta or Toronto. But yes, a vehicle can be shipped anywhere across the country. It might be more fun to pick it up, say, in Halifax and drive it. That would be more fun. Amber Deep's back again. Question 2, Mercedes GLA versus BMW X1 versus Audi Q3. I would say of those three, I would take the X1. The current Q3 has the old Tiguan engine, 200 horsepower, not my favorite. The GLA really is, you know, isn't really a crossover like the other two. So of those three, the X1. Excuse me. Stephen Bradley. I have a 35 Dodge Coupe in the garage, rust-free in Vancouver Island as proof. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. I apologize. Rick Byers. Hey, Zach. Rick got his package this week, so I'm glad that Rick got his Kia Stinger swag that I was giving away a while ago. It's funny, Rick. His question is, he asked this question last week about manufacturers that have dash cams. And I saw literally an hour or two later when I was on Facebook, an ad from Toyota Canada saying that you can get a dash cam installed for $600. Now, to me, it's probably just a dealer install, but there you go. The universe delivers the information for you. And hope everything's going well there, Rick, in Gatineau, Quebec, just across from Ottawa. So people keep asking, it's about the fourth question. Will you be reviewing the Hyundai Kona? Yes, I will. I am not going to the launch event that is next week on Vancouver Island. I'm away on spring break with my family, but hopefully Brian Chow will offer a video to show here on the channel, but I will also get it back to drive when I get a chance. Don Rogan says, what watch are you wearing? This is a Zenith Elite Dual Time. Beautiful watch. It's a 40 millimeter black dual time watch and very light and thin. Gorgeous. Zenith Elite Dual Time. And the reason Don asks is because I do have another YouTube channel called Watch This. And I'm horrible at updating it with new videos because this is my main thing, reviewing cars. But I should have a bunch here when I'm doing these. I was wearing yesterday Tudor Submariner. I was thinking of wearing something else, but I saw this and I thought it's time to wear it again. So here's the thing. If you're into cars, great. A lot of people that are into cars are into watches. If you get into both, that's a really expensive hobby. Ask me how I know. Cars are expensive. Cars and watches, really expensive. Josh says, hey, Zach, what are your thoughts on the Jaguar F-Pace versus Mercedes GLE 400? Which is a better choice for the money? I think that the Mercedes-Benz GLE is head and shoulders above the Jaguar when it comes to interior materials and refinement. One of my knocks against Jaguar is the fact that sort of from the knees up, they're okay looking. The F-Pace is rather simple on the inside. Their head unit is a little bit, you can get the big 12.3-inch screen in there, which looks quite nice. But basically the center console and from your knees down is still filled with hard plastic. Look at the front of the glove box. Actually, you can go watch my reviews and I talk about this. The Mercedes, in my opinion, just has a different level of refinement when it comes to the inside. F-Pace would be my choice as a driver's car. So the 340 supercharged would be the one I would get. The 380 supercharged, I just believe, doesn't make that much of a difference, to be honest with you. When you drive them both back to back, it's not that much of a difference. And the 35T, I think is the one, the sweet spot, I think is the one that you should look at. But the GLE 400, really nice car. And the thing is, the GLE now has the adaptive standard suspension. You can change it from sport to comfort. Real nice product. Of those two, I would pick the Mercedes. Herbert Wong says, hey Zach, how would you compare the Lexus IS350 all-wheel drive F-Sport to the Acura TLX A-Spec? That's a no-brainer. Get the IS all day long. I have been on record. I think my least favorite car I've driven in the last couple of years has been the Acura TLX. I didn't have really any, actually I like the styling. The new A-Spec, I think it looks pretty good. There was one parked out on the main street here as I was walking by from getting some food the other day. And I thought, hey, it looks pretty good. I don't like the way it drives. I don't like Acura's approach with their new 8, 9, and 10-speed automatics. I don't, and I don't like the way they drive. For me, it would be the Lexus IS all day long. David Cloud says, hey Zach, hello from Victoria, wondering should I get the Stinger GT, the G80 V8, or the Lexus IS 500? So that's the ISF. Oh, you're talking very different sort of generations of vehicles. So the Stinger is the newest, just coming out. The G80 V8 is a beautiful 5-liter, and the IS is the oldest of the bunch. The IS is like the Velvet Hammer. That's what I called it. The G80 is an older, even though it's been refreshed as the G80, it's still the old Hyundai Genesis from a couple of years ago. And the platform is, there's the sport model, which you might want to consider. But I think of those three, I think the Stinger would be pretty good. In my order, it would go Stinger, Lexus, G80. But you need to go and try them to see what you like. Ernest Lee, if you were to buy a pickup truck, which one would you buy? If I was to buy a pickup truck, this is a light-duty 1500 pickup truck, I would choose, when this is available, the Ram 1500 with the EcoDiesel. I think the EcoDiesel is a great engine for fuel economy. So for what I would be using it for, which would be really light duty. Now, if you're going heavier duty, then you might want to consider something else. So I pegged them as Ram as my favorites. Ram, the GMC, and then the Ford. The Ford is excellent when it comes to the EcoBoost, but the EcoBoost, in my opinion, is more boost than eco. It's hard on fuel, which I can't get my head around. But they do. The engine is great. The EcoBoost engine does feel great. I don't like the interior of the Fords. I love the interior of the Rams, and the middle ground is the GMC. Josh says, thanks for your feedback. I'm looking into a new Mercedes C300 for myself, and now I drive a C230 model, which is the V6. Thoughts on the 4-cylinder and the current model for torque and handling? Okay, so the biggest thing, Josh, you're going to notice is how much sort of lighter the car feels and handles. And so it's just a modern, updated version, and the throttle response is so much more responsive. The other thing is they've gone with a 9-speed automatic transmission. And this is not the ZF transmission that is used, for example, by Acura and other brands. This is an in-house Mercedes 9-speed automatic. Same thing with the GLC with this engine and transmission configuration. They did an excellent job of the calibration of it. And I think that that's probably one of the best examples of how to do a multi-gear transmission is Mercedes-Benz. So I think you're going to notice that it feels lighter to drive. It accelerates more nimbly. I think you're going to really like it. And the interior is just so beautiful. So that's a car that you can easily get into a test drive. Some of the cars that we talk about here on the show, like the Stinger, when you go in there, you say, do you have a car to test drive? Well, they're only getting so many, and they're like, well, no, we don't have one. Somebody wants to drive a Subaru WRX. Well, they're not going to let a lot of people test drive them. But a Mercedes 300, you'll have no problem getting a chance to drive it. And the great thing is you already have the car you're comparing it to. Why has Hyundai only brought the Veloster N? That's not true. Hyundai is going to have Veloster, Veloster Sport, I think it is, and they're going to have a whole bunch of them. 2-liter, is it the 1.8 turbo, the 2-liter turbo? So yeah, they're going to have a whole bunch of them. Don't worry about that. I don't worry. Everybody's getting caught up on this Veloster N. You know, like it's going to be this thing that people are clamoring to buy. They're not going to sell many of them. It's the same with the Ford Focus RS. I mean, how many do you really see out there? There's not that many out there. These are really small niche cars. The Veloster, in your everyday travels, look and see how many Velosters you see on the road. Not that many. I'm cross-shopping with trucks as well, and I want something that won't get stuck in the snow. Got a Mustang now. So David, I need a little bit more info on what vehicle you're looking for, what kind of vehicle. Do you have any insight on a release of the new 4Runner? Well, I did an interview with the Vice President of Toyota Canada at the Detroit Auto Show, and I brought up the trucks and why there's so much of a delay with the truck line from Toyota. So they brought out Tacoma almost 2 years ago now. 4Runner is still running on the old 4-liter 6-cylinder, still has a 5-speed automatic transmission, and the interior is quite dated. Great product, bulletproof, amazing resale value, but those things need to be updated. So you kind of wonder with the Tacoma there as a, to draw from why they're not going that way. Same thing with the Tundra. Tundra and the Sequoia that's built on the Tundra are also really outdated. There was no real answer to that. There are rumors about 4Runner coming with something new, but we haven't seen anything yet. And if there is something coming, they're being very tight-lipped about it. Chris says, when will we start to be seeing 2019 models showing up in Canada? Well, this Ram 1500 is a 19, and it's being built now and shipped to dealers, probably showing up within the next 6 to 8 weeks. So there you go. That's going to be a 19 model. By the way, the existing Ram is going to be sold sort of as a value player. Not on all trims, just certain trims are going to be sold. And I would think at some pretty good discounts to what this new vehicle is going for. So if you're in the market and you like the current Ram, so these are being produced on 2 separate plants. So the existing line is going to be making the existing Ram while the new Ram is being made. The same that they're doing with the Grand Caravan is still being made along the new Pacifica. So they're going to continue to do that. So they have a lower price point vehicle, which is the older Ram, and then the new one, which will be this one. So it's interesting the way they do it. And I think that's pretty good because it really gives people a lot of options. If you're a business owner and you're using your Ram truck to just throw things in, you don't really care about, the condition of it, it's going to get wrecked. Like, why would you want to spend all that money for the newest and the latest? You just want a truck, and that'll be a great option for business owners. All About Vehicle says, hey Zach, do you recommend a 2005 to 2010 Honda Odyssey as a good first vehicle for a teenager who doesn't want a full-size truck? No. Honda Odyssey. Why would you want to drive a Honda Odyssey? Unless you're just going to make out in it. I don't know. Why would a teenager want a Honda Odyssey? You know what you should do is get your mom to drive it, drop you off at school. You don't want a full-size truck. You got to have something cooler than a Honda Odyssey. Unless someone's giving it to you for free, and that's your first vehicle, and it's free, I would drive that. But I wouldn't go out and hunt out a Honda Odyssey as a first vehicle for a teenager. You want something cooler than that. Hey Zach, any idea on the launch date of the Mazda 3 with the new design? No, I don't. This jumped around again. Here we go. I apologize. Well, there's lots of questions. It jumped ahead. Now I see how many questions I got to get to. I got to go a little faster. Need a small city car. Have you driven the new electric Smart, the Chevy Spark, the upcoming Accent hatch? Any thoughts? I have driven the Smart Electric. Great little car. So much fun. That is the perfect platform for the Smart car is electric. So yeah, go give one a shot. They're only going to sell the Smart as electric cars in the future. The Spark is, if I was going to, here's the thing about the Chevy Spark. Don't go in there expecting to pay retail. You want to get a discount on that car because you've got the Micra that's up against it, which is less expensive. However, interesting about the Spark has 10 airbags, has an LTE 4G Wi-Fi connection in it, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. They throw a lot at it. The Hyundai Accent, similar sort of thing. So do you want electric? Smart's an option, but go drive the Spark and the new Hyundai Accent hatch. Of those, I would probably pick the Hyundai. Martin Giroux says, hey Zach, really enjoy the videos. What do you think about the new Jaguar I-Pace? Better car than the Tesla. Jaguar has never been known for the reliability. Well, I hate to say it, but the Tesla Model X isn't exactly been known for its reliability either. If you look at the the quality reports about the Model X, it's pretty scary, all the issues they've had with that product. So I think that Jaguar will have a better product than a Tesla when it comes to reliability. I mean, if it was the Model S, it would be a different story. But the X, I don't think you'd have to shoot that high to beat the Model X, to be honest with you. And it's coming very soon. Here's the thing. Tesla is going to be in trouble. If they can't scale the Model 3 up to major production numbers in the next few months to make some deliveries and make some cash, and even then, are they going to make money selling these cars? Are they profitable selling the Model 3? I still don't believe they're profitable selling the Model 3. I still think that Tesla continues to make cars and sell them at a loss. And that's why they keep on promising things in the future. A semi-truck, a roadster that flies into space, the new model, whatever it's going to be. If you think Tesla's always talking about what's coming instead of focusing on the cars they make today. The Model X was horrible in its ramp up, was almost 3 years late. The quality on it is still not very good. The Model 3 has been late to market. They can't get the production numbers up. And even when they do, will that make Tesla profitable? I don't think so. And you're going to have the Mission E that was just shown at the Geneva show that looks like a Panamera. Now, Porsche knows how to make cars. Number 1 or number 2 when it comes to quality, year in, year out. You've got the new I-Pace from Jaguar. You've got the new e-tron, the Audi SUV that looks like an elongated Q5. That will be for sale by the end of this year. So 3 new electric cars from some pretty heavy hitters. And that's just the beginning. He ain't seen nothing yet. Wait till you get the ID cars from Volkswagen showing up in 2020. And then you've got the IQ cars coming. Is it IQ or, yeah, I think it's from Mercedes-Benz. They're all coming. So Tesla had better start to be profitable very quickly within the next 6 to 12 months. I mean, not just profitable, like showing some real signs that they're going to make a go of this, because when the other brands start to produce these electric cars, I don't know what's going to happen with Tesla. Martin comes back and says, do you think that Porsche will make a plug-in hybrid electric Macan? I bet you they will. They're going to have that in pretty much every vehicle they make. Do you know if Subaru will release a new Impreza WRX ST hatchback? Rumors are it's coming. I don't know more than that, but those just rumors. Kay Hopkins, do you know whether Apple CarPlay could be added to the current version of Entune? No CarPlay in the current Highlander. I think the way that the Entune, it's basically an app drawer, and if the app is approved, I think the way it works is it can be added to the app drawer. Is it reverse compatible? I think it might be, and if it's not, then it's going to be from the new cars going forward. But that's a good question. I'll have to find that out for you. Rafi says, hey Zach from Winnipeg, if you were to have an opinion between buying a Civic or Jetta, which one would you get? I would pick Civic right now, and if you're not in a rush, the new Jetta is coming in April. So here's an opportunity for you. So we know what the Civic is. It won North American Car of the Year, Canadian Car of the Year. It's a great car. The Jetta we know as well, the current Jetta, it's been out for a long time with a 1.4 liter turbo engine, actually a nice little car to drive. The new Jetta is coming at the end of April. So I'm going to get a chance to drive it. I am going down for the launch event. So here's the thing you need to do. There's certainly going to be existing Jettas to buy. Wait until the new Jetta information comes out and we get a chance to drive it. So then you're either going to order a new Jetta or get a new Jetta or get a good deal on an existing Jetta, and if you don't like any of those, then you can go and get a Honda, and that's going to be a great choice for you. Okay. Darcy says, I like your theory. I've been in Korea and Japan and I agree. It's perfect. The Koreans are copying, doing it better than the Japanese. I talked about, if you're just joining, in my opinion, I think a lot of the Korean mentality is to outdo the Japanese at what they do. But if you think about the Japanese post-war, they really copied a lot of European and North American brands. For example, I have an antique, where is it? Is it sitting around here? I have an antique Nikon camera, which was really a copy of a Leica. Some of the initial Datsuns and Toyotas were copies of European cars. So yeah, it's not like it hasn't been done before. Nevin says, hey Zach, do you know if a used RDX with a 4-cylinder turbo is reliable? These were not good on gas. They were crashy in the suspension and they required premium fuel. I would take a pass. Do you think that the 370Z or Z needs to be replaced? This current 370, I have never been a fan of. I don't like it, never have. There you go. Does it need to be replaced? Yes. What do you think about the current Tesla market, pre-Model 3 and post SpaceX? I don't know what that means. This is a good question, actually. Do you know if a new car consumes more gas during a break-in period than after the break-in period? All I can tell you is sort of anecdotal grandmother research that I have heard this from people, and they've said that my vehicle is getting better mileage now that I put some miles on it. So one of the things is you got to remember that the computers that are on board are logical, okay? So they learn your driving pattern. So the more that the vehicle learns your driving pattern, often it can become more efficient. But I don't know if there's hard data on that. I've just heard that as well. Somebody says, used A6, 2007 to 2012. Regular viewers, no. I love to have high-end premium German cars under warranty. So a 2007, 2012 Audi A6 is out of warranty. So be prepared to get a screaming deal on it and then be prepared to pay for repairs. Do you have any insight, pun intended, on the upcoming Honda Accord Hybrid? No, but if you look at the Insight that is out now, boy, is it ugly. Don't you think? That Insight really is ugly. And I don't know. It's Accord Hybrid. They have some excellent technology over at Honda. And what they're being able to do, sorry, I didn't mean Insight. I was thinking there. I was thinking on my feet. The clarity is not good looking. Boy, it's a really big car. It's nicely done on the inside. Great technology, but could they make it any uglier? Anyway, that's my rant on that. I don't even think the people at Honda would argue with that. I don't think it's the best looking car. Honda Accord Hybrid. Well, yes, I think you're going to see a lot of that same technology filter through the whole line. When is the best time to invest in a plug-in hybrid vehicle, now or wait for a year or two? Well, here's the thing. It depends where you live. For example, if you're here on the West Coast where I am, there could be better incentives from government for electrified vehicles, plug-in or full electrics, like or mild hybrids. Sorry, not mild hybrids, but plug-in electric vehicles. Now, the opposite might be true in the province of Ontario if they have a change in government. Now, we'll have to wait and see because the election is coming up in the next little while. Are they going to be as generous if the progressive conservatives get in as the current Liberal government in Ontario, giving you $14,000 off your car? So if that's the case, you might want to get that $14,000 incentive now. In British Columbia, you might want to hold off because now we have the green DP, as I call them, on the West Coast. And if I was going to make a bet, I would bet that the incentives for electric cars on the West Coast would get better with this new government in place. So I think the best deal you're going to get on a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle or a full electric vehicle is the incentives that they offer. I am no fan of incentives for electric cars, by the way. I've been on record many times. I think that they should not give individuals for personal transportation tax money to buy a car. I think it's just an idiotic thing. Stephen Bradley, I wonder if Subaru will bring their diesel from Europe to North America. I don't believe so. Hey, Zach, what's your opinion between the Elantra Sport and the Elantra GT Sport? I think, without question, I had way more fun driving the Elantra Sport sedan over the Elantra GT Sport, which is built on the i30 platform based in Europe. And I thought that the European car would be better than the Elantra Sport that we have now. Not the case. The Elantra Sport sedan I thought was a much better car than the Elantra GT Sport. Why do cars keep using the check engine light when there's a multimedia information display on the dashboard? That check engine light, a lot of people think that it's like, oh, the car is going to imminently blow up. It is really an emissions test. So one of the reasons why I think it's still in there is for places that still have smog tests for cars. If that light is on, it's an indication that there is something amiss with the emissions system. That's really what it is. It's not really diagnosing anything other than that. So the check engine light means that something is amiss with the emissions. By the way, I like it's the first person that's ever commented on this. Your Emerson Fittipaldi diecast. So this is an original back in the day. My dad, like myself, traveled a lot when he was working. He doesn't travel as much as me, but when I was a little kid, he used to bring back toy cars for me from all over North America, and that's one of my bigger ones. But yeah, you're the first person that's commented. It's been sitting there for months, and you're the first person that's actually commented on it. I think I got some more in here. This is Richard from Shelburne, Ontario. Shelburne, by the way, was on the way to our farm near Owen Sound. Used to go by there all the time. What's your opinion on the 2019 Ram 1500 Limited is better than the Ford F-150? Well, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not really allowed to talk about what I thought of the drive because that's embargoed. I'm mentioning it again until Friday. So watch for the review on Friday. I think that the highlights of Ram generally are quietness, road handling, comfort, and definitely interior refinement. So stay tuned for the video. I think on those measures, they do a better job than Ford. Mario says, interesting stat, last month in the US, more Ram diesel pickups sold than all combined EV sales. Yeah, you know what? It's so true. I mean, everybody's going on and on and on. It sucks up all the headlines when it comes to car news or electric vehicles. Electric cars are 0.6% of the Canadian marketplace. So that means that 99.4% of all cars sold in Canada, and there was over 2 million of them, were internal combustion engines. So yes, disproportionately, electric cars get a lot of the headlines, but that's not what people are buying. People are buying SUVs, utility vehicles, pickup trucks, more and more and more, to the point that you're seeing sedan sales going down and, you know, SUV and truck sales going up. For example, as I mentioned, if you just joined at the beginning of the show, the Ram brand, they sold about 104,000 trucks. 104,000. Disproportionately higher than the United States, by the way. In the United States, they sold 600,000, but Canada is 1/10 the size. So proportionally, if that was the United States, it would be 1 million Ram trucks. But no, Canada loves trucks, and electric cars are going to take a long, long time to really move above, you know, 2 or 3%, and we're not even at 1%. All right, that's an hour gone by. Thanks to everybody. Once again, all along the bottom are the Twitter, the Instagram, the Facebook. Follow along. I'll be back here next week, and make sure to tune in then. Thanks to everybody that watched, and I'll speak to you then.